and welcome to another episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. Today is Wednesday. It's the double pivot episode. It is the 20th of March, and we've got myself, we've got Ross, we've got Franny, and we find ourselves upon the eve of the international break. Now, I know that for some Celtic fans, they see that as a disappointment. They are looking for other joys in life to kind of carry them through this period. However, we do have some diversity, which I do love about this podcast, and we've got some people who actually rejoice at the international break. People such as Ross, who love that, who love the international break to see the boys in dark blue do well. Sometimes, occasionally they do. But anyway, we'll get into everything Celtic. We've got a few topics lined up for tonight to hopefully keep you guys going for this Wednesday evening. But we've got Ross and Franny, as I said. How you guys doing? What's happening?
All good, mate. Sorry. Busy wee night. The night as I was sent you off earlier, right down to the last second. I'm decorating the Wayne's room now. Looking at jobs the night as well, and then fending for myself, making my own dinner and that. It's been hectic, but we've got here.
And Franny, you don't look as if you're fending for yourself tonight. I'd imagine you're stuck up in a wee nice hotel room with your dinner already made for you. Is that right?
Well, Mr. Witherspoon's made my dinner tonight. So Witherspoon's round the corner, so I went and nipped in there. We table for one.
Excellent. Well, we've got some lovely strips on show tonight. We've got Ross down below with the 1988 centenary top, an absolute beauty. We've got Franny with that lovely away top, which makes me think of that amazing goal that we scored. Was it back in 1986, the one at Love Street, where we had to win? Well, we won 5-0, and we scored a particularly amazing goal, a passing move from the back. And I think it might have been Danny McGrain, who perhaps might have started it off from right back. I think they were wearing that top on that day. Do you remember that one, Franny? No, from footage. You would have been a bairn at the very least.
From footage, I can remember it. And just obviously seeing the strip, but it's one that I've always kind of liked. But like we were talking again, Gavin, off air, it's a hard one to actually source the original. I did buy it from the Celtic store, but obviously it's not the original; it's a replica.
Beautiful, mate. It's beautiful. I'm kind of glad that Celtic kind of got into the retro tops, because obviously it's one way of making money. But the other thing is that we have had some beautiful tops from the last few decades, and it's kind of nice to bring them back because not everybody still has them up in a loft somewhere. So if there's a chance to buy it from the Celtic Superstore, then why not? Because they're beautiful, beautiful tops. Anyway, we do have a few topics to talk about tonight. Obviously, with the international break coming up, we've got one particular international themed point that we're going to do, and that one was to actually talk about your greatest ever Scotland 11 to have played for Celtic in your lifetime. So I was thinking about that earlier on today, and I think I've actually got quite a good 11. But we'll go through the three of us and see who we've got from back to front. However, I want to start off tonight with the news that Crawford Allen had resigned. And now I know that we probably all seen that on our phone for the football updates. Now, this was on the back of the Celtic and Hearts game where Celtic had requested the audio from VAR, and it transpired that the audio had been lost. Now, Crawford Allen, as far as I'm aware, checking on the website, he will leave his position as the head of referee operations at the end of this season. It's just, however, the timing of that announcement, which is coincidentally came whenever the VAR audio has been lost, and it looks like the blame can be put at the doorstep of Crawford Allen. He will leave to pursue new opportunities, blah, blah, blah. However, whenever we think of some of the decisions that we have witnessed so far this season, kind of right after the Rotten Mob dropped points, the following day we go into play Hearts, and there was two very, very controversial decisions made with the penalty and with the sending off, which drew much ire from the Celtic fans. So, Ross, going to start with yourself, if we can. What was your reaction to the announcement from Crawford Allen resigning at the end of the season?
Well, to be honest with you, I hadn't really seen much about it. It was just what you guys had shared in the group chat, and I just sort of got the gist off of that. And picked up a wee bit more off of what you've just been saying there. I've never had time to properly read into it, but the gist of it is obviously that he's resigning and this audio has been lost. It's a bit of a shambles, but it's also seems as if it's a bit convenient that this audio has been lost. I think it looks really incriminating. Listen, we can only speculate, but I think we all know deep down that for me, I said it at the time, John Beaton was waiting for any opportunity to, even the slightest incline that he could give something, he was waiting for that to give it against Celtic to make that day difficult for us off the back of what he'd witnessed his own team dropping points the day before, and it would have given us the opportunity to go top of the league. Listen, we can all make the point that even though we go down to 10 men, we should do better in game. We absolutely should. We should score the penalty before that, but we didn't score the penalty, and the minute he was given an opportunity, he took it, and now the audio has been lost. It just beggars belief, and Celtic should really, really put their foot down in this and take it all the road.
Good comments there. Now, it actually kind of reminds me of a certain lyric by one of the best frontmen from the 90s. Now, Ross, no, it's not Oasis. It's actually Kurt Cobain's Territorial Pissings. Nirvana, probably the best band of the 90s. And he said, just because they're paranoid, or just because you're paranoid, it doesn't mean they're not after you. Now, Franny, as Celtic fans, we are being accused of being a conspiracy theorists. That's nothing new. And whether you might be at one end of the scale or the other, in terms of how far you believe that, there are some things which are difficult to ignore. Where do you sit on this? Do you think it's just a coincidence, or do you think it's something more sinister than that?
But I would love to say it's just a coincidence, Gavin, but I think it is more sinister than that. I don't know, maybe you've heard more than me. I thought it was still just a rumour that this audio had been lost. If that's true, then that is very, very convenient, it would appear. And the way I would look at if that audio is lost, when Brendan Rodgers goes for his hearing in the next week or so, whenever that is, surely then he cannot be found guilty because they have no evidence to back him up, to prove him wrong then, to say, look, you have not been, like, he was calling him incompetent and stuff, so there's no reason, no way to back him up, or, well, fight against him. And I think it's good of Desmond if he's kind of getting the lawyers involved and maybe bolt a wee dossier up and really going for them, and maybe just Crawford Allen is taking the fall just before, I don't know, maybe before the truth comes out. Maybe he's hoping I'll take one for the team if you like, and resign, and then in the hope that Celtic maybe just let it lie. But I hope if this audio has been lost, I hope the Celtic go all in it and just say why was it lost? Where is it went to?
I think just the timing of it, it certainly made a lot of people suspicious of that. However, we will find out what happens with the Brendan Rodgers hearing. Hopefully, he does come lawyered up and he gets off scot-free, but we will wait and see.
Has that been fast-tracked, Gavin, or is it still going to be
they can?
No. So it'll still, if he gets done, he might not be on the in the dugout for Ibrox. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm not aware that it's possible to be fast tracked. I know how bureaucratic they are with their procedures, SFA, and it looks like we're not able to kind of get around the rules that they've set for that. So it looks like we're a slave to the process, and we just need to bide our time. But hopefully they don't have grounds to suspend him at all. It's just kind of came at the worst possible time. Do you think that worst case scenario, if he were to be suspended, that it could have an impact on Celtic's performance? You think that our group, Ross, our squad, need his presence in the dugout? Me personally, I feel that Yeah, they do. I think that with all the ups and downs we've had this season, I don't relish the prospect of going to Ibrox and playing without him in the dugout. What's your thoughts on that?
I would probably have to agree with that. I just think that it's another one of these things that could go against us this season. And listen, the team might still get a win, but I think it would probably slightly hinder us if Rodgers isn't in the bench and he isn't in the changing room to obviously G the guys up. Obviously, if Cal McGregor's there, he can do that. And there's, I was going to say there's John Kennedy, etc. But I don't think they are guys that are going to say anything that's going to change things in the dressing room. But listen, it's your manager. You want your manager to be in the dressing room, giving a team talk, and then being in there at half time. And if he's missing, going to Ibrox and what you would have to say is possibly a title decider. Albeit we'll have to play them again, but I think that it would certainly hinder us. It wouldn't be the best thing, but that's not to say that we can't still come through that game without him. But as I've said, you would rather he was there.
Very true, mate. Very true. I know that we do have some Wi-Fi issues affecting young Franny there, so we know that he's battling away in the background to try to navigate his way through that. Anyway, Ross, is that right? Would you say that Oasis are the best band of the 90s? Come back to a wee comment in the group chat from earlier on. Never a blur man. Never a blur man.
No. Listen, Blur were all right, but better than Oasis. No, that's like saying that blinking San Marino are better than Brazil. It's just not a thing. And to be honest with you, Oasis aren't just the best band of the 90s. They're the best band of all time. No, that's just facts.
I'm just poking fun at you. That's all I'm doing. I don't have a dog in this fight. Wasn't it Blur who won the Battle of the Bands at the media set? It was like the race to number one. Big living in a house, a big country house, something like
country
that. By
house,
Blur.
aye.
Yeah, I bastard that title there against was it Roll with it?
It was. Blur did win that race, but I mean, listen, Country House is a good song, but Roll with It gets played in football stadiums. It's sort of anthemic now, I would say. Over the course of time, you would have to say that that's a better song than Country House, albeit Country House bet them to the number one spot.
That's true. So Blur won the battle, but they lost the war. Probably the best way to sum that up. Yeah.
The game is over.
That's it. Right, okay. So moving on to one of the first kind of main topics of tonight, we're talking about the keys to victory with 8 games remaining. Now, we know that we've got Franny battling away in the background. Whether he can regain control of that Wi-Fi or not, me and yourself will plug away. So the keys to victory with 8 games remaining. Now, what I mean with that, Ross, is primarily, will squad experience be one of the main factors? Will that prevail? The other thing is, do we still have the edge? We've got 2 key games against the Huns, and we've won 2 of the games. Kind of against the odds to an extent, especially the first game at Ibrox. But we've got 2 more games against them, and I was going to ask, do we still have the edge in those derby games? However, it's kind of, despite all the ups and downs with this season, we're still going for the double. We're going into this international break here. You could argue that we've got the psychological edge, that we're now ahead of them, albeit they've got 1 game in hand. But some people were talking, look, would they have preferred Rangers to play right after the Europa League game? Obviously, it got postponed because of the pitch conditions at Dundee. But I think the benefit of that is that that's going to play in their mind that they have to win that game. And you want the points on the board, that old cliche. And that's what we've got. We're top of the league now. We can sit back. Some players can join their international teams. Other players can work on the training park with Brendan Rodgers, get their fitness up, play those bounce games. But everybody's aware that Celtic are top of the league right now, and Rangers have to win their game in hand. They may well have a fixture congestion. The media will be talking about it as well. The fans will be well aware of it. So that's one thing. Where are you at right now with the remaining games to go? And is confidence at? Could you say that confidence is at a peak high right now? Which I don't know. That might be a fair statement, all things considering.
I don't know if it's the confidence at a peak high for the season. I think there's been higher points earlier in the season, but we're playing a lot better than we have been. We're playing a lot better than we have been at any point since the winter break, I would say. And we're coming into that wee bit of form, albeit it's only a couple of games. But that wee bit of form, winning games, whether we're playing good or bad, and it's coming at the right time. We're also obviously getting players back after the international break. It's difficult. You asked, do we still have the edge in the derby games? I think you would have to say on paper, aye, we do, because we've won. Well, I think it's been nigh on 2 years for Rangers won. In fact, it's about 2 years for Rangers won a meaningful. I know they all mean something, but a meaningful derby. I think it was maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was maybe the Scottish Cup semi-final, Nanji's first season, so that's a long time. So you have to say, on paper, we do probably have the edge, but Rangers are a team playing high in confidence. They might not be playing brilliant, scintillating football, neither are we, but they are winning games, they're picking up results, and that's a slight, well, it's trepidation going into these games, because I think they can go either way. I believe that we can win them, but they can absolutely go either way. It's very close. You talked about the earlier games, where certainly the one at Ibrox, we won it against the odds. You could maybe even argue again the home game, slightly against the odds due to injuries and stuff like that. We've never had Carter Vickers, but in the first game at Ibrox, they were a different team under Beale, and then the second game at Celtic Park, I thought it was, albeit we went up 2-0, I don't think there was a great deal in the game, and now they've got longer under Clement, and they've shown against big teams. And listen, Benfica aren't the team they were, but they're still a big team, and they went there and they got a 2-2 draw, albeit they lost at home, but they also went to Betis and they scored 3 goals over there. So the Rangers are a dangerous team for Celtic, and we need Cameron Carter-Vickers back, and we need him to stay fit for now until the end of the season. He is, for me, more important than Callum McGregor, more important than Kyogo. I think he's the absolute most important player in this team, and we need to keep him fit, albeit bring guys like Hatate and McGregor back to dot round about him and just bring this team up to what we hope we all hope it was going to be and could be. But for me, Carter Vickers he's integral to what we want to do this season. He has to stay fit, and if he stays fit, then we've got a really good chance going to Ibrox. We've got a really good chance at Parkhead. And listen, there's a lot of football to be played, and I just can't wait. Listen, I'm looking forward to watching Scotland the internationals and the friendlies, but I'm also really looking forward to getting it byway and getting back into this, just the end of this title race, and just find out if we're going to win this league or not, because it's really getting squeaky bum time.
It's getting interesting. It's definitely getting interesting. Franny, I hope to kind of keep you there. Please don't go anywhere. We're getting a lot of comments about bands from the 90s. I've not heard anyone say Alice in Chains or the Smashing Pumpkins. Get an interesting one here from Tommy Twist, Mr. Bungle. I think they were kind of into like slap bass and stuff like that. Tool, by the way, Tool. Awesome band. Love that band. Anyway, Franny, interested to get your thoughts about 90s bands. However, talking about like core experienced players. Now, if you whisper it too loudly, then they might get an injury. But we've got people like Joe Hart, Taylor, AJ, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Cal McGregor, O'Reilly. James Forrest, don't write him off. Maida, Kyogo, people like that, the people who have already done the distance, they know what it takes to win a treble. Now, I think we're really going to depend on players like that. What's your confidence like for the remaining part, the run-in for the season, especially with 2 more games to play against the Rotten Mob? Where's your confidence levels? Where do you think that the league can be won and lost from a fan perspective?
I think it can be won. I think if we win at Ibrox, I think then obviously they've got the Dundee game straight after that, where it might be they'll be on a down, because I don't know how they maybe would have wanted that fixture before our game or after our game. But obviously if they had it before our game and they win it, they're obviously top of the league. All go every team we win our games up until then. They would then regain top spot, so they would maybe have a chance to extend their lead at the top. But if we win, must only be 1 or 2 games if that before the Derby game, and they'll be very similar. Then obviously we'll go in top of the league, albeit by 1 point. But I think if you go into that game and then come out and win it, you'll be 4 points clear. Yes, Rangers will have a game in hand, but that'll be 3 games on the spin in the league that we have beat them. And I think it could just have a negative impact on them. For a Rangers point of view, obviously a positive for us. I think the belief might start going on their players. I mean, Tavernier even said it in the past that they didn't like the pressure and stuff like that, and they tend to crumble. I think that their fans will kind of go against them. My confidence levels are similar. Like, they're not sky high. They're a lot higher than they have been in recent weeks anyway, because there has been an upturn in performance. I think the weekend's game as well, it was free going on whatever we want to be. Yes, it was. You could argue we need to be a wee bit more clinical, but I think one of your sort of main issues this season, if you like, we've not obviously recently we've had like the Dundee game, where it's like a pretty much a 90-minute performance. I thought the St Johnstone game was pretty much a 90-minute performance, but we tended to be decent one half and poor the other half. And I think what was key at the weekend is we came straight out after half time and scored within a minute, 2 minutes or something. It just feels like we're kind of bang at it now. Feels like there is an upturn in performance. I was saying it on Friday when it was on yourself and Stephen. We've not been the best this season. It's maybe not went how we all expected the Rodgers to come in, but we are where we are right now. We have, as fans anyway, I believe we've got to kind of look at recent performance and try and build on something to give yourself confidence that you can maybe go on a run and just chalk off some fixtures and get some key results to build momentum. And then maybe at the end of the season, then you reflect and go, right, like dissect the season once the trophies and medals have been handed out. But my confidence levels are getting higher and higher, because you hear wee snippets on the football phone-ins and stuff, reading online that Rangers fans are seems to be a wee bit of nervousness coming into their sort of psyche, if you like. So it's a wee bit better than what it has been, Gavin, in recent weeks. But again, that could not want to preempt it, but that could all come crashing down if you lose at Ibrox. But I just got a wee feeling we might just nick it again at Ibrox. The 2 game, certainly going the first game at Ibrox this season, it was sort of a lot was Michael Beale. We hadn't got off to a great start and things like that, and it seemed we were the underdogs. And in some quarters, we were even the underdogs at Parkhead as well for some bizarre reason. But we picked up 2 good results there, and I just think Rodgers in this fixture, I don't know what I totally rely on just Rodgers. It's obviously more than Rodgers in this fixture, but he knows how to win big games. And just, I think if we win at Ibrox, it could just knock the wind out their sails.
I think it's got that possibility, that potential to it. And good comments from the people from the commenters. They were saying like the last time we beat them at Ibrox, we had like Lagerbielke playing for us and Scales. So people were looking to Lagerbielke to be the more kind of proficient defender out of the two. However, it was Scales, so I ended up getting man of the match that day. And I think if we could do it with when the chips were down, such as that day, when confidence was low, when people were writing us off, then I would like to think that us, after stringing a few victories together, then hopefully we can do better. The difficulty, I think, with this season is whenever you think we've turned a corner, we haven't. There's been more disappointment following that. And I'm kind of too scared to say confidently that we have indeed turned that corner, and we can see the home stretch. I think there are some factors to take into consideration to kind of gain confidence from, like the weekend result there. We looked like we had our creativity back. People had written off Nicholas Kuhn, and I'm interested to get your thoughts on that. Nicholas Kuhn, apparently, well, whenever he signed for us, he didn't look like a footballer, and it looked like another woeful recruitment decision. But it turns out that he'd lost like half a stone due to a dental illness, and now he's kind of managed to kind of get back on track. And the last couple of games, he's looked very, very instrumental. Quite interesting, like playing on the right wing, turning in on the left, and dinking balls over. He's making goals. He's committing defenders. He's playing fearlessly, which I love a defender to do. And I love a winger to do that. And I also love a winger who has pace and is not afraid to use it. Whereas Abada, I think, had pace to burn, but he was always reluctant to kind of commit into a foot race with a defender. So I think that there's confidence to take from that. Kyogo seemingly coming back into form. Kyogo not dropping back, dropping deep unnecessarily. And especially whenever we're playing against that low block, I think Kyogo is the best kind of lock picker for that kind of scenario. Another thing is with Rio Hatate possibly coming back from injury. I think he might be playing a bounce game in the next week or so. I'm really, really optimistic about that. I think he's going to pick a ball for us this season. It's been really, really up and down with him. Whenever he played for Japan, he picked up another injury. But hopefully now Hatate is back and he can actually make some meaningful contribution. So I'm looking forward to it. And as we said, we're still going for the double, so it's not just the league. Ross, I know that it doesn't really work like this, but the league is a bread and butter. Are you getting caught up with the Scottish Cup? Do you think that's a sideshow, or do you think the main thing is just the league to kind of secure Champions League entry for next season?
Well, of course, the main thing is the league, but for me, with 2 games to play in that, to win it. Who is it we drew again? Sorry, can't remember. Was it
Aberdeen, wasn't it?
Aberdeen.
Aye.
So I mean, you would look at that game and think at Hampden, you've got to be confident of winning that. So then you look at it and you go, right, we'll probably need to play Rangers in the final, and that in itself is an exciting prospect. The showpiece game of the season against your biggest rivals. And listen, if we're excited about it, the players should certainly be excited about it, and that should drive them. Like, this is why you're a professional football player. Okay, you want to be ideally further ahead in the league and more comfortable, but then at the same time, we haven't had a title race like this for a long time, and as much as it's not good for the heart, it is exciting. And the players should, our big players should thrive off this, and I believe that they will thrive off it and step up to the mark. And no, I don't think the Scottish Cup is a sideshow. I think it's 2 trophies that are available, and if we turn up and play to the best of our ability, then you have to say that you would expect Celtic to win. And it doesn't matter what team in Scotland, if Rangers play to the best of their ability and Celtic play to the best of their ability, there's only one winner for me. So the 2 trophies are there to win. We're starting to play a bit better. We just need to bring our optimum levels for, what is it, 8, 9, 10 games. Can't remember what it is, but bring them and just get over the line and just win these 2 trophies. It's not going to be easy, but it's very, very possible.
Mm-hmm. And there's a few comments here about about how close it is this season, and somebody said that for Monty here, he said, I don't like it to be exciting. I prefer to be 20 points clear. And you know what? It's probably a really poor analogy, but if you give me a wee bit of latitude here, it reminds me of like boxing fights where you've got one boxer like fighter A who's far, far superior to fighter B. And he strolls throughout the fight, and then by about within 6 rounds, he realizes that he's down on points, and it's like squeaky bum time for the rest of the fight. And he has to win every single round until the end. You know that he's the better fighter, but he's just been a wee bit too lackadaisical. And I don't think maybe Celtic could be accused of being lackadaisical. Perhaps you could level that accusation against the board, but there's been a number of factors that have went against us, injuries and whatnot. But I feel as if it's like we are the better squad than Rangers, but we're kind of at the business end of the season, and now we have to get every step right. We can't make a misstep here, otherwise it hands momentum to them even more so. So we need to get it right, and I guess that was my analogy to a boxing fight. Well, they're halfway through, and the better fighter realizes that he can't get it wrong, unless of course, Ross, you're aging, you'll just knock the guy out, of course. Anyway. Okay, so international break. We'll move on to that. So this was one of the kind of the international themed topics that we're going to kind of bring up tonight, and it was to name your greatest ever Scotland 11 who have played for Celtic in your lifetime. Now, for myself, I'm born in 1986, and I was thinking about some of the players, especially up front, and I'm thinking, kind of scraping the barrel here. So I'm utilizing every year of my lifetime to actually kind of make this 11. So I guess what we can do is go through it in positions, starting off in goalkeeper. Has everyone got their 11? Has anyone struggled to prepare an 11 for tonight?
I've got one.
No, I've got one.
Excellent. I'm glad you guys have kept prepared. And anyone in the comments? We've got James here who's weighing in here a bit like Ngannou punched Fury's head in. James trying to come in with a sucker punch there. Shut it, James. Shut at you. Right, anyway. Right, goalkeeper. Franny, going to start off with yourself. Who do you have in goals?
Craig Gordon for me. I've kind of went with guys that I've seen Gavin playing, but so Craig Gordon for me, it has to. I don't think there's any, unless somebody plucks somebody there that I've just totally forgot about, but it had to be Craig Gordon for me.
Who else is there? Gordon Marshall?
Well, David Marshall.
Rob Douglas.
Rob Douglas. But Craig has to be Craig Gordon, surely.
Ross, I've got Craig Gordon as well. Are you on the same page?
Aye, it's absolutely Craig Gordon. There's no other name. All other answers are wrong.
This might be a stupid question, but see Jonathan Gould, I know that he was English, but did he ever qualify for Scotland through like a grandparent or something?
Not sure. Because that really been...
I don't recall that, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
I don't recall that, to be honest with you. No.
Craig Gordon we've got as the number one. Right, into defence. Franny, who's your fullbacks?
Jackie McNamara at right back, and similar to Craig Gordon, I think for me, Kieran Tierney at left back, so all other answers are wrong for left back, really.
Right, Ross, do you have anybody different to McNamara and Tierney at fullback?
I don't know. I've got McNamara and Tierney as well. Now, what I will say is, though, I've went a 4-3-3. I don't know. There was no stipulation, so
I went 4-2-3-1.
Right.
Because I was similar to Gavin. I was going to try to go 4-4-2, and I just could not get two strikers, I'll be honest with you.
All right, I've got McNamara and Tierney as well. So, Ross, you went for a 4-3-3. So we've all got a flat back four anyway. Franny. Ross, okay, we'll start with you. Ross, who's your centre backs?
I've got Tom Boyd and Gary Caldwell.
Right, okay. You've got at least one person different from me. Tom Boyd and Gary Caldwell. Gary Caldwell over Steve McManus. Was he the head and shoulders above Steve McManus, do you think?
Steve McManus was probably a better ball winning centre half, but bringing the ball out, I thought Gary Caldwell was probably a bit better. And just for the way I want my team to play, you know, I just plump for Gary Caldwell.
Fair enough. Franny, who have you got?
I'll be honest, I forgot about Tom Boyd, but I don't think I'd have put him in. I've went Caldwell and McManus. I toyed with Stephen Presley, but I just thought Caldwell and McManus were a great partnership together.
I've waited for
maybe basing them on their sort of Scottish.
They know each other. They've got a good partnership. Got a great partnership. I've went for Tom Boyd, and I've also went for Roy Aitken at centre back.
Aye. Listen, I can't argue against that. I actually done the same as Franny. I just went for guys that I actually seen playing. I can't remember ever seen Roy Aitken playing, but I can't argue with that choice. He was top defender.
He was pretty good, wasn't he?
Celtic captain, and he played for Scotland as well. He played for them in a couple of tournaments at least, I'm sure. Right, midfield. Now, Franny, did you say you went for a 4 or a 3 in midfield? Franny?
Well, it's a 2-3-1, a 4-2-3-1. Have I totally froze again?
I think you did, aye.
I've got two setters.
Right, who's your two setters?
I went Brown and Lambert for me.
Brown and Lambert, right? Okay.
Two setters.
Ross, who's your central midfield?
Well, you want me to give you the 3?
Yes, please.
So I've got Lambert in the 6, Brown in the 8, and I wanted to put Chris Commons in the 10 because I thought he was a brilliant player, but I just couldn't. Listen, I know people will say Paul McStay and all the rest of it, right? I never seen a lot of Paul McStay. I know I was born in '83. I saw the tail end of his career more so, and he probably wasn't as good a player as what he was, obviously, the late 80s. But as I say, I wanted to get Commons in there, but my number 10, I went for John Collins.
I've got Collins, right? I'll say my midfield. I've got Collins on the left, McStay and Lambert in the middle, and on the right I've got Sean Maloney. That's who I've got. Franny, what's your full midfield?
So Brown and Lambert. Then I've went James Forrest on the right, Stuart Armstrong on the left. I really liked Armstrong, and I had to get him in the team, and then Callum McGregor kind of in the 10. I toyed with Ryan Christie, but I had to put Callum McGregor in, and again I had to put Armstrong in. I really liked Armstrong.
Nee, John Collins?
Nah, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of gutted about that because it's another one that slipped my mind. Fucking ridiculously good team, man, John Collins. Because I was toying with who
ahead of his time, man.
I was toying. I was like, I really need to get Armstrong in, and I shoehorned him into left mid, where really John Collins should be there.
Well, you've got some good operators in that midfield anyway. Ross, so we covered your midfield, is that right?
Aye.
Just recap it for us again, please.
Lambert in the 6, Brown in the 8, and John Collins in the 10.
Awesome. Right, okay. Up front, Ross, who do you have?
Do you want me to give you all 3?
Yes, please.
So I've got, this might be a bit controversial, but he was absolutely a fantastic player for Scotland. I've got James Forrest on one side, Lee Griffiths on the other, and Kenny Miller.
That is controversial.
He was fantastic for Scotland when it's all said and done.
I think his best moment for Scotland was probably that goal that he scored against England at Wembley. Would you agree?
Really good goal. Probably in terms of quality, you could say aye, but I think he had bigger moments in a Scotland jersey. Goals against, I think he scored a goal against Holland. I think we won 1-0, albeit we went back over to Holland. It was a qualifier for think it might have been the Euros, but I'm not sure. And we went over to Holland after that game and lost 5-0 over there.
Yeah.
So in the end, it didn't really count. But in that moment, it was huge to get that win at home and give us every opportunity in the return leg.
Franny, who have you got up front for yourself?
I mean, I'll be honest, it should be Kenny Mullen. It's not that I forgot about him. I just didn't want to be as controversial as Ross, and I went safe and went Lee Griffiths. I would say Kenny Mullen, a Scotland jersey, was way better than Lee Griffiths.
Right. As I said, I'm utilising all the years that I've been in this earth, so I don't remember these guys playing. However, I do remember Charlie Nicholas playing. That was in the second time for Celtic. However, Charlie Nicholas I've got playing up front alongside Brian McClare, who did play for Celtic in 1986, and obviously he played for Scotland. McClare, I think, was a fantastic striker. Obviously, Alex Ferguson took him down to Man U, and he played with them for quite a few years. So I've got Nicholas and McClare, old timers, but I think they were extremely talented players for Celtic and Scotland in the 80s. So I'll just run through and recap my team, and you guys can do the same just as a refresher. Apologies to the guys in the commenters, we can't bring up graphics to show you the full 11. But for me, I've got Gordon in defence, I've got Tierney, Boyd, Aitken, McNamara. In midfield, Collins, McStay, Lambert, Maloney, and up front, Nicholas and McClare. Franny, can I recap, please?
Excuse me. So I've got Craig Gordon, Jackie McNamara, Caldwell, McManus, Tierney, Brown and Lambert, Forrest, McGregor, Armstrong, and Lee Griffiths.
A good team. And yourself, Ross?
I've got Craig Gordon in goal, back four, Tierney, Tom Boyd, Gary Caldwell, Jackie McNamara, midfield three, Lambert, Brown, and Collins, and a front three of Forrest, Griffiths, and Kenny Miller.
Strong teams. And who, by the way, international break, who are Scotland actually playing?
They're playing Holland on Friday night, and then they're playing, oh, bloody hell. Is it, who the hell is it? Is it Northern Ireland?
I have no idea.
I can't mind.
I think it is. That rings a bell. Because Andy Robertson has been having a bit of give and go between the other Liverpool left back, who's for the north of Ireland.
I think it is. Aye, Northern Ireland. It is. I don't know why I doubted myself there. Just had a mind blank.
For Ross Evans, Kevin Gallagher, I don't think he actually played for Celtic. He played for Dundee United, and then he went down to Blackburn. Is it Blackburn? I know they did play for Blackburn.
Aye, he played for Blackburn.
Great player, and obviously his grandfather, Patsy Gallagher, played for Celtic back in the day. Right, okay, guys, I was going to call you Gavin. That wouldn't make sense at all.
Talk about yourself in the third person.
Right, got a couple more topics to cover off tonight. However, I thought I'd break it up and do a quiz. Now, I don't have a good reputation as being a quiz master on the Endless Celts because I think feedback is I make them a wee bit too difficult. It's just to know you guys, okay? That's all it is. I like to be the villain. I like to be the villain of quizzes. So I have got 10 questions, and most of them are kind of historic questions. So I apologise in advance, okay? I'm just going to watch you guys squirm. So this is whoever says it first, apart from the first question, okay? Apart from the first question. The first question is, what's the closest year? So what year did Celtic start wearing the hoops? And whoever's closest will get this point.
Go 1895.
1895. Okay.
I'll go 1894.
Oh, you wanker.
Franny takes the points because it was 1903. 1903.
Oh.
Monty is bang on with that. Bang on with that. 1903. Right, okay. Number 2. Who has got the worst win percentage In fact, it doesn't have to be like fingers on the pulse, like quickest answer first. I don't know. I should really brush up my skills as a quiz master. Number 4. Who's got the worst win percentage at 35.29% as a Celtic manager?
Tony Mowbray.
Liam Brady. I'd have actually went Tony Mowbray, to be honest.
Franny's very close. It's Lou McCarry.
Ah.
Like, I don't think Tony Mowbray would have lasted like a month if he had anywhere near that. It was far more acceptable to be shite in the 90s for Celtic, unfortunately.
Aye.
Right, for question 3, it's quickest answer first. Which team brought Celtic's record-breaking 69-game unbeaten run to an end?
Hearts.
Boom. Yes. Okay, so we're 1 apiece right now. Question 4, again, quickest answer first. Which team did Celtic controversially lose to in the 1967 Intercontinental Cup?
Partizan Belgrade.
Atletico Madrid.
No, right. So this would have been a South American team.
Oh, right.
Oh.
What was the question again? Sorry.
Which team
Boca
did Celtic?
Juniors then?
Who did they lose to in the 1967 Intercontinental Cup? So after beating Inter Milan, we played them. I think it was played in 3 separate games.
Wow.
People were punched, people were kicked, people were red carded.
Aye, it's.
I'm sticking with like a Boca Juniors. It sounds like something that an Argentinian team would do.
I know the game he's talking about, but do I know the team? No. I'm going to say Sao Paulo or something like that. Is it?
It's Club Racing.
Ah, so it is. Aye.
Right. So still think we're 1 apiece.
One each.
Yeah. Okay. Question 5. Fastest answer first. Who is the youngest player to make a Celtic senior appearance?
Jack Aitchison.
Boom. Franny 2-1 in front. Number 6. Again, fastest answer. Jockstein was a manager of which previous Scottish team prior to taking the reins at Parkhead?
St Mirren.
None of them.
Dunfermline, wasn't it? I haven't even checked the answer, but I'm pretty sure it's Dunfermline.
I'll trust you in it, I will trust you in it.
I thought it was St Mirren, but I'll trust you.
We've got Dunfermline. We've got a lot of people saying Dunfermline. Yeah. Right. Okay. So still
Beth Black White.
Question 7. Again, fastest answer. Which term was used by the Scottish media to describe the Celtic reserve team of the 1960s?
The Quality Street Gang.
Yeah. 2 each. 2 each. Ross draws level. And we've got 3 more points to win. Number 8. Which former player has had 2 spells at St Mirren, West Ham and Celtic?
Frank McAvenny.
Oh, aye.
Ross pulls ahead 3-2. 2 more points. Okay, question 9. Which player has won the most international caps while playing for Celtic?
Oh.
So, while playing for Celtic, who's won the most international caps?
Craig Gordon.
I'm going to go Callum McGregor. It's got to be longevity, isn't it? Would it be Scott Brown?
It would not be. It would be Packy Bono.
Oh, I thought it was just like Scottish players. I think I was still on the last topic.
Nah, to be honest, I was thinking all internationals. Like I was
just on Scottish players.
Sorry, boys. Right, okay. So one more point. So Franny can draw level here. We've got Ross 3-2 ahead. Question 10. quickest answer first. Who was the assistant manager to Wim Jansen?
Eric Black.
What was that noise that you made there? That was funny.
Because I was getting excited thinking I knew it. It wasn't Eric Black, was it? It wasn't Eric Black. Oh, what was his name?
Was it no Eric Black?
Hey. Wasn't it David Hay? I thought it was David Hay, but maybe it's not.
Is that no the right answer? What I said?
I'm giving you the wee bit of latitude here. Still waiting for the right answer.
Oh, Murdo McLeod. Murdo McLeod.
Oh, so it was.
3 each. Well done.
Who was Eric Black, the assistant to then?
No,
Tommy Bond.
Eric Black was. Well, it wasn't Tommy Burns because he had Billy Stark.
That's right. Who is Eric?
Who did
Was it not John Barnes? Was it maybe John Barnes? Maybe John.
Possibly.
Who did Wenger start? There's Jed coming in here. Eric was assistant to Wenger.
Ah, right.
Right, okay.
I thought I was definitely had that right there, but as it was Murdo McLeod. What I did.
Big Red coming in here. I've just won your whole quiz. Right, okay, that was good. I enjoyed that. And I don't think I was a total villain for that one. Right.
That was all right. It was good.
That was good,
I'm glad. Now, so another part of tonight's podcast, where we're going to talk about, or I was going to suggest, to name your most memorable victory over Rangers, which was vital for a league success. Now, the reason I bring this up was because on this day, a wee history lesson, back on the 20th of March, 1988, so paying homage to top right for Ross for the top that you're wearing. In that season, Paul McStay and Andy Walker, on this day, back then, scored for Celtic against Rangers at Ibrox to win 2-1. And that was pivotal to win the league in that season. Now, so that was the kind of the catalyst for the question tonight. So name your most memorable victory over Rangers, which was vital to league success. Now I've got one for myself, and I was actually at the game, and for me, it was the 2-0 against Rangers. It was the New Year's game. It was the 2nd of January, 1998, and I was looking back at the lineup. We had Gould, Boyd, Annoni. By the way, I just had a lot of time on my hands, so I could actually do this. So don't feel as if you need to reciprocate. But we had Gould, Boyd, Annoni, McNamara, Reaper, Stubbs, Henrik, Burley, Bratback, Lambert, and Vekhorst. And we were up against a Rangers team. They had a lot of household names. You had Gorham, McCall, Cleland, Goff, Perini, Alberts. Gaza came on for Alberts. You had Jonas Tern, who actually wore this top, by the way, Jonas Tern. Ferguson, Negri, Gattuso, and Laudrup. And to even make it harder, Hugh Dallas was the referee. I felt that was, out of all the games that we played against Rangers in the 90s, I think that was the most important one in that entire decade, because going into that game, we were 4 points behind Rangers. And I think if we lost that, then it would have been too much of a difference to make up. But we managed to obviously get it back to 1 point. And that was kind of signalling our comeback in the league. I think that was actually the game that Gaza did that flute thing when he was a sub.
Oh, was
you
it?
Remember that?
I
remember that. I didn't realise it was that game.
And another controversy was Andy Gorham wore a black armband in that game, and he said it was because of his recently dead aunt. However, it also kind of coincided with the death of the loyalist Billy Wright, who'd just been killed in the maze. And we know that Gorham had some affiliations with scummy people who liked that guy. So 2 controversies. However, it was also Enrico Annoni's best game in hoops up until that point. And the goals came from Burley and Lambert. I think the Burley goal was made by Jackie McNamara, who kind of drove in, and then he did a reverse pass and it opened up the space for Burley, and he slotted it past Gorham. And the other one was the Lambert goal, where he scored it into the top right corner. It was a beauty of a goal. It looked like a pure mess at the start, because some Celtic player kind of tried to drive in and he kicked the ball up. He totally fluffed it. It fell back out to Lambert, who was perfectly positioned, and he leathered it, and he just ran off in celebration. One of the most beautiful goals you would ever dream of scoring in back then at the Old Firm Derby. So that for me was my most memorable Celtic victory over Rangers, and how it propelled us to stop in the 10 that season. So that's my one. You don't need to go into as much detail as I did. As I said, I just had a lot of time on my hands. But is there any ones that come to mind for yourself, Ross, or you, Franny?
Well, for me, sorry, were you got to go there, Franny?
No, I was just letting you go there, mate. Sorry.
All right. For me, it's the one I always go back to. Is the game where Jan Vennegoor Feslank scored the header last minute. But I think we were going into that game. I think we were 4 points behind Rangers, but they had 2 games in hand. Now I might be my numbers might be slightly out there, but I think we were 4 points adrift, and we won that game to get it back to 1. But Rangers still had 2 games in hand. But they had that UEFA Cup run at the time. I'm sure it was the UEFA Cup at the time. We got off to a perfect start in that game. I think it was about 20 minutes in. Nakamura just done Nakamura Hings. Picks the ball up, gets it out his feet. He's about 30, 35 yards out, and he just cuts across it on the volley and gives McGregor absolutely no chance. Go in 1-0 at half time, and then second half, I can't remember. It was a bit of a mistake and it let Novo in. He got clear, and then he listen, I hated Novo with a passion, still do, but you can't take it away from the guy. It was a tremendous finish right across. One of our best keepers ever, Arthur Boric, gave him no chance. And then you go further into the game. Celtic are piling the pressure on. They need to win that game, obviously, because of alluded to with the points difference, and Rangers had 2 games in hand. And again, Nakamura popped up and he curled it over Alan McGregor and he beat him all ends up, but Carlos Queller's standing on the line and he punches it onto the bar. And I always remember after that game, there's a commentary, but it's like a Celtic fan or something.
Yeah,
and he's like, he was just, it was something like, Carlos Queller, best player in the world. Now he's a dick because he gets sent off.
Get the fuck or something as well.
Get the fuck. But it was brilliant, superb commentary. But he gets sent off, and then Scott McDonald misses the penalty, and you think this is just not going to be our night, but it's going to end up 1 each draw. And then I think it was Nakamura again laid it off to my centre half in the Scotland team, Gary Caldwell, and he played that ball over the top, and Scott McDonald, probably the best guy in the park, wins the header at the far post and gets it back across goal. And it was just that goal was epitomised the sort of partnership that him and Hesselink had built up over their time at Celtic, and he just pops up with that goal, and that gave us the impetus to go on. I think there was maybe 7 games left after that, and we won every single one of them. And Rangers stuttered, and listen, they moaned, and Mumpton moaned about too many games and wanted to get fixtures postponed, I think, before European games. But I think pretty much the final nail in Rangers' coffin was, I think they lost up at Pittodrie. And then that gave us the opportunity to go to Tannadice on the final day of the season, I'm sure, and go and win the league. And we duly done that. And it all boiled down to that last minute goal for Jan Vennegoor of Hesselink.
in the commentary, I think it was he's like for the Carlos Cuellar thing. He's got to go. He's got to walk. He's got to get to fuck. I'm sure that's what.
That's it. Aye. It did say that, and then after that, it says something like best defender in the world. Now he's a dick.
That's class.
Superb commentary. But aye, that's the one that sticks out for me.
And that goal for Nakamura, I'm talking about the one for Lambert, which I thought was a beautiful goal, but the one for Nakamura in that game, like, eclipsed it just for the distance and the way that the ball moved in the air. It was unbelievable, man. You talk about a cultured left foot, Nakamura and that goal, it was just a match made in heaven.
Aye, that Nakamura was fuck. Aye, go for it, Franny.
I was going to say that was a fantastic one. I think he sort of been criticised previously that he never really turned up in these games, and obviously scored his first goal against Rangers, and it turned out to be a pivotal goal in that season. But aye, what a player Nakamura was when you think about it.
Aye. I guess it's games like that where we always remember players, like the difference between a player who does the business against Rangers and the players who fail to do that, and that's how you're kind of always judged. And that's kind of how it should be to an extent as well, because we always need our heroes to stand up in those games, and if you don't, then you're not really contributing as much as what you're meant to. Franny, that was obviously a brilliant game that Ross had brought up. What's the one that you would kind of opt for?
To be honest, it would have been the one Ross went to, because we would have been at the game together, me and Ross, at that time probably, and then if I would have then went to your one, Gavin, because it was one of the few games that I watched as a young laddie where with my dad that we actually beat Rangers in, because it's growing up in the 90s, you got beat a lot of Rangers. So I think just to kind of sort of to change it was trying to make it would have been Neil Lennon's season where Joe Ledley scored was 1-0. It was just a header in about the 57th minute or something, just for a corner. And again, I think it was similar where we were sort of had that maybe 7 points behind, but I think there was more games to sort of play. And Joe Ledley just scored for a corner about 50 odd minutes, and I think it just drove Neil Lennon on that season. I can't remember exactly the season where we were down 3-0 against Kilmarnock, if it was that season or not, but I can just remember that game is just as a third game, I feel like. But Joe Ledley, he always turned up, and talking about guys turning up in these fixtures and stuff, I felt Joe Ledley always stood up in against Rangers as well, and that was one of them as well, where he obviously scored the header at the front post and stuff, and went up. I think that maybe not necessarily dragged us to the league, but it kept us well within the fight, because I think if Rangers had got it even as much as a draw, I think there were 7, maybe 8 points ahead. I think we maybe had a game in hand, but obviously there was only one game left. I don't think there was a derby after that, so you were maybe looking, if you won your game in hand, 4 points, but really needing Rangers to slip up another twice with about, I think it was 5 games left to play. So winning that, I think, for Neil Lennon was absolutely pivotal.
Aye. So Neil Lennon was the manager for the game that you're talking about, and Ross, was it Gordon Strachan was the manager for the victory that you spoke of?
Aye.
Who do you think were the best of the 3 teams that we spoke about? So I've obviously went for Wim Janssen's team from 97-98. Ross, you've went for Gordon Strachan's team with the likes of Little and Large up front, Hesselink and McDonald. You've got Nakamura, and you've got characters as well throughout the spine of that team. And Franny, you've got Neil Lennon's kind of first spell with people like Joe Ledley and Gary Hooper. You've got flair. You've also got, again, grit, determination, character. Who do you think would be perhaps the strongest team if they had to compete?
I'll happily take my team as third. I don't think my team's beating any of your teams. I mean, on paper, there's probably a lot better players in it than the Strachan team, but Strachan's team got the job done all the time, I feel. And
for me, I think it's the Strachan team.
I would probably argue the Strachan team. I think it's only Larson that's maybe would tap it for the other team.
And my team, I've got Harold Bratt back making his debut. after we signed him 2 months prior to that. We've got the experienced Craig Burley, who I think it was only one season, correct me if I'm wrong, Craig Burley, who spent at Celtic. Obviously, it had a fairly successful time for like Chelsea doing in England. But Burley in that particular season for Celtic was really, really instrumental. Mark Reaper and Alan Stubbs, that's a partnership at centre-back. Reaper and Stubbs.
Well, Alan Stubbs was well sought after as well.
Aye. Look, we signed him for about 3 million, didn't we, from Bolton?
I think it might have been about 4.5, mate. I think it was about 4.5.
You could be right. It was a big spend back then. And Anoni playing at fullback. I always hope that Anoni would
be like fullback that day.
Well, we've got Boyd and Anoni playing. In fact, no, I've got Boyd, Anoni, McNamara, Reaper, and Stubbs. So one of them must be playing.
Back five or something.
Maybe McNamara was playing in the midfield, perhaps.
Maybe.
And then Boyd and Anoni at fullback, Reaper and Stubbs at centre back.
It probably would have been like 4-4-2, quite rigid. No fancy like 3-2-1-2s and all that carry on back then.
Aye, you wouldn't trust me to do that. And Morton Vickers, a lovely guy. Morton Vickers played for Celtic back then as well. And Darren Jackson.
I've actually got the lineup for that game I'm talking about. It was Boric in goals, and then a back four: Hinkle, Caldwell, McManus, and Lee Naylor. And then our midfield was Nakamura, Hartley, Robson. Looks like there's a player missing there right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a player missing.
I'd have said McGeady, surely.
McGeady is there. I just never noticed him. McGeady. So it's Nakamura, Hartley, Robson, McGeady, and then Hesselink and McDonald up front.
It's still close because when you think of like Lambert and Burley were brilliant together. I mean, Lambert's superb, but they two together in that centre mid were good. I'd maybe take Anoni out it, but I would, as much as I'm with you, Gavin, I really wanted that guy to be brilliant, but I would probably take your back four, Gavin, before yours, Ross.
I wouldn't argue with that.
See, Lambert, do you think Lambert got better with age at Celtic, or I think it was just because of he was playing with? It was like an ever-changing team. Whenever he joined Celtic, we weren't a brilliant team. We got better as a team. Do you think Lambert was always consistently great for Celtic, but it was just his teammates around him who got better and better? We kind of upgraded upon him, and eventually he was playing with like Petrov and Neil Lennon. You know.
I would have to. I would say that he was a similar player throughout his time at Celtic, but as you say, the teams that he played in got better and better, and he probably finished in a better team, which made him maybe look like he was a better player. But I think he was pretty much the same player because you could say like. He maybe changed his game as he got older, like a lot of players do, but I don't think Lambert did because he just played that sort of. He done it for Dortmund, just the holding midfielder, and then he done it for Celtic, and I think that he just looked even better player than what he was probably in the Wim Jansen team because he was surrounded by better players in the middle of that or in the heart of that midfield.
Aye. Right. Well, what else have we got for tonight? We've got Scotland on Friday. I don't think that we're doing a podcast on Friday because we do have Scotland, and we appreciate a lot of the viewers might want to watch the international game. Is that all right, boys?
I don't know if it's confirmed, but I think there'll be a chance there will only be one on Friday.
I think we've left it open. If MD's available, they can go for it. But if not, then we'll all be watching Ecos.
Ecos. And so Celtic, we will be back on Sunday, the 31st of March. We've got Livy away. A Sunday kick-off. So you'd imagine that Rangers will play the day before.
Saturday,
yeah.
Ibrox.
Livingston, they are shockingly bad team this season. We beat them in the cup. So, do any foresee a potential banana skin on that day, or do you think it should be a routine victory, albeit we're playing away from home?
Without jinxing it should be a routine victory. I mean, Livy, like you say, it has been a tricky sort of ground in the past. I'm not even sure Rodgers is actually. Well, no, he would have won there at the start of the season. Thank God Stevens on, because I think he won there with 10 men to. We got a player sent off in that game. But it should be a routine win, Gavin. Like you just said, Livy are dire now. I mean, they're 10 points adrift. I would take that, Monty, but equally, a wee hassle 3-2-0 something. Just get in there. It's a plastic pitch. Get in there, get out with no injuries. And a nice one. That's all I'm looking for when you go to Livingston now.
Aye, and despite the fact that they resemble a basketball team with their height, I think that we've got enough to play around them and to play through them as well. I think we've got the guile, and with Callum McGregor, hopefully, like Brendan Rodgers said, that he should be fine in the return of the international break. So I would hope that we've got more than enough to beat them comfortably. We've got Monty there saying we'll beat them 6-0. I obviously bite your hand off for that, especially with a large scoring margin for the goal difference. We'll take all the help we can get, but I think we've got enough to beat them. Again, you kind of look past them. It's one game at a time. However, significantly, Rangers are right round the corner. In fact, are they? No, that's the 7th of April, isn't it?
Aye. But I think it's only, is it not only Livingston?
Aye, that's right. Aye. 7th of April, so a week later. So again, after the international break, we've got Livy away, and then we've got Rangers the following week. Ross, who do you think is better equipped right now to win that game out of the two teams and their kind of their momentum right now? Or do you think momentum is scrapped now that the international break is here? Who do you think is better equipped?
I presume you're talking about the Ibrox game, yeah?
Aye, and obviously home advantage for them, but we've got the psychological upper hand, having beaten them twice.
Mm-hmm. It's a toss of a coin, to be totally honest with you, because as you've said earlier in the podcast, Celtic we've been at this junction a few times this season where we think we've turned a corner, and then it's been that false dawn. So there is that, and then Rangers are at home. They've got their Celtic don't have any support in the ground. It makes it more difficult. But again, you just go and play your game. And if Celtic play, as I've said, if Celtic play to their top level, then the Rangers fans can't stop us. But we have to make sure, and I know it's a bit of a cliche because most of the time whoever gets the first goal in a Celtic Rangers game tends to win it. But I think when you're up against that crowd, you cannot let them get the first goal, because I think, albeit it wasn't a meaningful game, but that day when we let Rangers get the first goal towards the end of last season, and they went on to beat us 3-0 with no fans in the ground then, and we sort of didn't fold, but Rangers just got the impetus and they had the fans behind them. So I think we have to really be mindful of that, and we have to start the game quickly, high press. Listen, Rangers will want to do that too, and we might have to weather a storm, but if we get through that first 10-15 minutes and then we start getting the ball down and playing our football, then hopefully it'll be all good. But right now, I don't think anybody has got momentum. I don't think anybody's got more confidence. Don't think anybody's got the upper hand. You could say Celtic are top of the league. Well, at the moment, they might not be after that game. I mean, touch wood, they are. But, aye. Well, it's one game at a time. You don't want to get too far ahead. It's a difficult one at Livingston. We need to go there, get it in, get it out, get it washed, and just go on the Ibrox after that.
Mm-hmm. Ross, see that game that you were talking about, the last Celtic Rangers game under Ange at Parkhead, where it was like people were saying it doesn't matter because we've already won the league. I was raging at us, raging. I was talking about it in the Jungle Gyms last year. I was so disappointed, and the fact that we were saying there was nothing to play for, it was every game for Celtic means something, especially against them. And like Ange spoke about the what it brings to like a football fan watching your team win. You know, they could have like a terrible week, they could have things going on in their personal life, but whenever you go to watch Celtic, that's what kind of galvanizes you, that's what lifts your spirits for 90 minutes. And that, like, hearing those words but then watching that performance, I felt it was terrible. And I also felt it was a sign of things to come with the kind of a team having played so well and it's coming to an end of a cycle, and the need to kind of get new blood in to keep the levels high, the competition levels high, and not to be resting on your laurels. And I felt that was a really bad sign. And I was at odds with other Celtic fans who are quite entitled to their own opinion, but I was really quite animated at how angry I was, and that me as a Celtic fan, I'm not able to accept those levels. To lose on your own patch 3-0 against that team. I found it unacceptable, regardless if you've won a treble. Like people were saying, well, look at the big picture, we've won a treble, but I couldn't get away from that. You always have to end the season on a high, especially those games. So I was quite, I've still not gotten over it. But anyway, obviously we need to do the damage against Livy, and then play as we can do against the rotten mob, and hopefully silence the home fans. You know, just play our game. Don't get sidetracked by the media. Don't get sidetracked by the occasion. Just play our game, because we know technically we're a better team than them. As long as we don't give away any silly mistakes like Laga Bielka, for example, we just play to our strengths and victory will come. Franny, two big games, but I think Livy away after the international break and the Huns at Ibrox, it could be massive, because after that you've only got 6 games remaining in the season, and potentially we could make further ground on the rotten mob. Where are you with that, mate? Before we wrap up for tonight,
as it's two big fixtures after it, like say Livingston, it can be a tricky away game, as I said, but there's 10 points adrift. You should really be taking care of that fixture. And then if Rangers have obviously taken care of Hibs the day before, which if it was maybe Easter Road, I would be maybe going, oh, there's a wee chance, because Hibs have had a wee upturn in performances. You never know, they might get something. I'm fully expecting Rangers to win that game as well. And then obviously you'll go into Ibrox, and I'm very similar to what you guys have been saying and what Ross was saying. I think it is that old cliche. It's like form kind of does go out the window. The fact that we've got no fans or next to no fans will be in the stadium, it is can be a wee bit of a leveler and stuff. And I think you just need to, Rangers, I suspect, will come out all guns blazing. I think you just need to weather that storm and get through the first 10, 15, 20 minutes. If Celtic can start fast, superb, great. If not, you just need to weather that storm. And then the crowd just might then start turning on that team, and that's when you start playing his game. If Callum McGregor's back for that fixture, I think that's massive. He controlled the previous 2 fixtures this season. If Fatati's back, I don't know what kind of performance he's expecting, but even if he's just on the bench, you just never know what he could give you for 20 minutes. He might just give you, if the game's on a wee bit of knife edge and it's sitting as a draw, it could be the kind of bit of creativity that just breaks the lines, or has it? We all know he's got a decent enough shot on him. So you never know. We seem to be getting guys back at the right time. So again, as I said earlier, if we go into that fixture and we come out top of the league, especially after a win, Rangers have got a quick fixture again up to Dundee. You just don't know, their heads might be down and they might just go up to Dundee and even just draw the game, and that'll be 2 poor results on the bounce for them. And I honestly think if we win at Ibrox, like if it sort of stays the status quo up until then, and we win at Ibrox, and will be 4 points, albeit they'll have a game in hand. I think psychologically, I think they might struggle to come back for that. I'm not saying it's got to be plain sailing with the 6 games left. We'll still need to be at our top level, but I think our nerves might be a wee bit less, than the anxiety levels might drop a wee bit in a lot of the fan base.
Aye, totally agree. I totally agree.
Has the Rangers game against Dundee been scheduled in yet, or?
I think it's the midweek after our game.
All right, so if we go to Ibrox, we've got an opportunity to go 4 points clear.
Aye.
Well, albeit we have to beat Livingston.
Aye.
If everybody does their jobs the week before. Right. Okay, that could be telling.
That's the way I'm looking at it as well, Ross. Obviously, they'll have the game in hand, but you're 4 points clear, and they know they can't slip up.
Aye, being 4 points clear, and then playing the game in hand is a hell of a lot different to being 1 point clear. Psychologically, anyway.
It's massive, and like we're talking about, like experience. Like experience is earned. You can't just attain experience. You can't just buy it. And some of the players that we've got, they've went the distance before. As I said earlier, Hart, Taylor, AJ, Cam Cutter-Vickers, Calmac, O'Reilly, Maida, Hugo Forrest, people like them, they need to just kind of trust in the process, which we've heard before. But hopefully that process is going to reap dividends now. To Monty, who was asking if we could do a show on Friday, genuinely see if there's a will, there's a way with us. I know that we've got more bodies now with the merger of the 2 podcasts, but a lot of us are kind of we've got stuff on. I'm looking after the wee one anyway, but if it's possible, we'll do it. We're not saying no, but we'll let you know. We'll put it on Twitter or Facebook if we can commit to something Friday, but we can't promise anything. Ross, before we wrap up for tonight, do you have the graphic for where we are with our domestic predictions for our podcast?
Aye, I don't have the graphic, but I can read it out if anybody actually gives a shit.
Mate, I want to know where I am in this.
I don't want to know where I'm on.
I want to let Franny ken where he is.
Probably.
Aye, so this is obviously for the predictors that we do in the SPL. So at the minute, at the top is James on 58. Then McGinty is in second on 53. Myself on 51. Yourself, Gavin, on 47. Stephen is in 5th on 42, followed by Willie on 38. Our very own Anthony Dunn is on 36. And Jed is on 35, and Franny is rock bottom on 34.
Oh, Jesus.
So there's a long, well, I was going to say there's a long way to go, but we've just started this, but there isn't a long way to go in the season, so it's getting really tense at the bottom there, all bunched on, 2 points separate the bottom 3, so somebody could be getting relegated, and then it'll to and fro at the top, I think, between now and the end of the season, but that is not as big a debate as the one we've just had.
Very true, very true. And one other burning question for Annie: who's your top band from the 90s?
I was kind of a wee bit a gangster rap guy, so we'd have to go to like some it's not really a band, but like your Dr. Dre's of the world, NWA, and that. I would have to go there. Obviously, I liked Oasis, but I was a wee bit of a gangster rap guy back in the day.
Did you wear any of the bling and the gear?
No, I wasn't that bad. I probably wore some terrible clothing, much like I still do. But I done what Ross said. Ross saying, so I think it was just playing up to the image of it. But no, I never wore. I wore some terrible gear, Gavin, but I wouldn't class it as that type of gear.
It wasn't like straight out of West Lothian or whatever it is that you're from.
Blazing Squad.
Aye. It was probably more Blazing Squad, aye.
Fair dues. Right, okay, well, I enjoyed that tonight. We've been on for an hour and 25 minutes. We've got almost 60 people live watching. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for all your comments. Really, really enjoyed that. So even if we're not back on Friday, we will be back the following Monday with fresh new material. I'm sure we'll think of something to speak about. But Ross, Franny, thank you very much for joining us. Is there anything further from you guys before we finish off for tonight? I know that Stephen likes to do a kind of Jerry Springer. I've learned something tonight. Have any of you guys learned something tonight?
I've just learned that 420 somewhere is pretty funny because he's just said Monty 2-packy wet wipes off the back of the rap chat.
That's pretty good, like.
Aye, that's a belter. But no, I've enjoyed the show. Really good effort hosting, Gav. Enjoyed your quiz as well. Aye, good. I always enjoy being on the double pivot. It's a wee bit different.
And when it comes to like gangster rap, I liked DMX back in the day. I liked.
Gonna give it to you. Gonna give it to you.
Totally. Yeah,
is that right?
Aye,
is that right?
Aye.
Oh, what do I know, eh? I'll just stick to Oasis. I'll just stick to Oasis.
You couldn't see a collab with like Noel Gallagher and Busta Rhymes or whoever, man. Wouldn't happen.
Busta, no, Coolio done the Paradise 141s, wasn't it?
Coolio, aye, one hit wonder, brilliant. Though, I loved that. That was like one of the tunes from the 90s. Coolio.
Aye, that was a tremendous tune.
Yeah. Anyway, we shall wrap up. Okay, thank you very much for everybody.
No pun intended. Wrap up.
Oh, Stevie did me.
Sorry.
Right, okay. We will wrap up for tonight. Thank you very much. Over and out. I'm going to hit end stream right now and make an awkward ending. Love yous and leave yous. Bye-bye.